led by new head coach Steve Kerr. The team is looking to bounce back from that 7th-place finish in the 2019 FIBA World Cup, even though no players from that tournament's roster are on the one from 2023. Actually, nobody on USA's 12-man roster has any Olympic or World Cup experience. But, of course, that does not mean that the team lacks talent. Here is a reminder of what Team USA's roster looks like, led by 3 2023 NBA All-Stars, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, and Jaren Jackson Jr., who is also the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. They also have the 2023 Rookie of the Year in Paolo Banchero. So we welcome in Tim Bontemps, who is in Las Vegas, and he's covering Team USA's training camp. And we welcome in Brian Windhorst, who is going to be heading overseas because, you know, he's a man of the world, and he's going to cover the World Cup. Tim, I'm going to start with you. You have a fresh story on .com about how Team USA can replicate the success from the 2010 World Cup squad. What do you think is the key there?
Well, the key there, Christine, could be Anthony Edwards. And if you go back to that 2010 team, Kevin Durant was going into his 4th year in the NBA. He had just signed a 5-year maximum contract extension with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And he went with a very young, up-and-coming group of players over to Turkey in a hostile environment in a tournament that Team USA typically struggles in, unlike the Olympics, where we typically come away with gold. And he led that team to a gold medal in Turkey in very difficult circumstances. And that was a big moment for Durant. It was a big moment for that group of players. And this is a similar opportunity for Anthony Edwards. Just last month, he was here in Vegas celebrating signing his own 5-year max contract extension. And as you mentioned, this is a Team USA roster that has no Olympic experience, no international experience at all. It has nobody that was on the gold medal team in 2021 in Tokyo on it. And so there's going to need to be players that step up and produce in big moments here. We saw Anthony Edwards show up on a big stage and play well against Denver in the first round of the playoffs. That stood out to Team USA Executive Director Grant Hill, part of why Anthony Edwards is on this team. When you look at this roster, he certainly has the opportunity to be the kind of go-to scorer on the wing that this team is going to need to come away with gold. So we'll see what his role is exactly going to be over the next several weeks. But Anthony Edwards is certainly a very big name to watch over the next few weeks here for Team USA.
Okay, Brian, anytime Team USA enters the international stage, the expectations are obviously very high. So what do you think needs to happen for this team to meet those high expectations?
Yeah, so often in international play, it comes down to guard play. And Steve Kerr and Grant Hill and a new team to put Team USA together have really focused on putting together a strong complement of guards on this roster. And when we talked to Steve Kerr about putting it together, he mentioned by name Jalen Brunson. He obviously believes that Jalen Brunson, who had a terrific year with the New York Knicks as the leader of that team, is going to play a big role with Team USA. Now, the thing about Jalen, even though he was sort of a low draft pick and not high visibility coming into the NBA, he really excelled in his amateur career in FIBA play. He was the MVP of the under-19 FIBA tournament when he played in it several years ago, and that style of play is one of the reasons they prioritized getting him. There's a bunch of good guards on this team. Tim just mentioned Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Austin Reeves. There's going to be a fight for playing time. We're going to figure out roles here, but it sounds like Jalen Brunson is going to be leaned on with his championship experience, both in FIBA and with his Villanova teammates, Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges, who he's going to be out there with again as part of this team as well.
All right, Chiney, Wendy just mentioned a number of names on that roster. Who do you think will step up as a key player to help Team USA bounce back?
I want to start with Jaren Jackson Jr. because as someone who has Team USA experience, I played on a variety of iterations of Team USA as I was developing my career in basketball. You know, offense takes a while to build, the chemistry, but defense shows up. And to have someone that can really rim protect, we're talking about the Defensive Player of the Year, a guy that led the league in blocks per game last season with 3 and has led the league the last 2 years, you're going to anchor around him. And then we mentioned Jalen Brunson. I mean, this guy's an all-star snub. So when you think about offense, you need someone that can really take care of the ball, no turnovers. He had a career high in 24 points per game this past season. And so you look at them defensively, let's make sure we show up with that first. As we build our offense and run the offense through Jalen Brunson, you'll have other guys like Paolo Banchero as well that can provide that spark plug, that tweener position where it's very difficult to guard, right? I love Paolo because he can knock it down from the outside, but he can also be physical on the inside. So, like, they have a variety of versatility, but first and foremost, I think their defense is what they're going to have to work on because that's that's what's going to be the glue to hold them together as they build that chemistry moving forward.
Tim, you alluded to this. Team USA has won just 2 of the past 6 World Cups, unlike the Olympics, which they've only lost 1 since 1992. Now, this year, they are the heavy favorite to win the World Cup, but they are not at all the only team with a chance to win it. Now, France enters tied with Australia for the 4th shortest odds to win the tournament at 11-1. The French finish as the runners-up in last summer's Eurobasket, led by Rudy Gobert, who hit a 3 last night. And I don't know if you saw what he said about that 3.
Wait, hold on. Thank you. Show the 3 because we were having jokes with Rudy. Not we, but some people.
Yeah.
Our producers.
Okay.
He hit the 3.
He hit the 3, and he said some things about the 3. Go on and Google it. Okay, Slovenia has the 3rd shortest odds to win the World Cup at 10-1. That, of course, largely because of Luka Doncic, who, by the way, had a triple-double yesterday in a friendly against Greece. But the team came up short against a Greek squad without Giannis Antetokounmpo, whose availability is still up in the air. And outside of Team USA, it's the Canadian national team with 5-1 odds to win the World Cup. Canada has 10 NBA players: Jamal Murray, SGA, Dylan Brooks, and RJ Barrett. Also, Zach Edey is on that team from Purdue as well. So, Tim, I'm going to start with you. There's plenty of talent throughout the 32-team field. To you, what team possesses the biggest threat to the U.S.?
I think, Christine, it's clearly Team Canada, and this is a huge moment for the Canadian national team. They've really been building up to this for a very, very long time. You mentioned they've got 10 NBA players on their roster. That is not the norm. You think about the America team, obviously it's chock full of NBA players, but Canada has been slowly but surely building up its talent base for a long time. And the Canadians enter this tournament arguably with the single best player in the entire field in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's as good or better than Luka Doncic and anybody that the American team has. Nikola Jokic is not playing for Serbia. You mentioned Giannis' status is up in the air for Greece. So the Canadians not only have probably, or arguably at least, the best player in this tournament, they've got a deep roster full of versatile players. As the head coach of that program, how he will fare on this stage, obviously a big opportunity for him to show his head coaching ability. And obviously another big question is Jamal Murray's status. He said yesterday he hopes to play. He obviously just came off of winning the NBA title and is dealing with still coming back from tearing his ACL. But if they have Jamal Murray and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander out there from the Canadians, they're going to give Team USA everything they can handle in this tournament as they hope to really make a deep run and potentially win gold for the first time.
And the reason why I agree with Team Canada is because when you look at singular players, you know, a Giannis potentially or a Luka potentially, when you have this depth in a roster, it's hard to go up against those types of guys that you go up against in the NBA that have chemistry, that know what they're doing, and that just play at a level and a standard that, you know, as one player, you're going to have to beat everybody, which is why I love Team Canada. What was it? Oh, Canada. That's it, right?
That was close.
I can't really hold it
like
to
that. Yeah.
But what I love about SGA is he made that leap. And we talk a lot about Team USA and players that could potentially make that leap. He made that leap in the NBA season last year, averaging 31 points per game, 4th in the NBA. I love his game. It's not dependent on, you know, am I having a good night shooting the 3? No. He'll find ways to get to the rim. He'll find ways to shoot that mid-range. He's physical downhill. Also, as you mentioned, Jamal Murray, I mean, if you're trying to carry over what you did in the regular season, postseason to now, he's got to be feeling good and confident about himself, especially after the last few years, you know, just emerging as a comeback player and athlete. And then I love Lou Dort. Because in this league, you look at him, you're like, man, he's thick. He's a ball stopper. He takes on the defensive assignment that is the hardest, the toughest. I'm going to take on Luka. I'm going to take on Giannis. Now, I know these guys may not be playing, but I'm just saying the mentality that he's not afraid to go toe-to-toe and provide that necessary defensive identity one-on-one. Like, they are a holistic team. They're a team that has gotten to know each other over the years. And I think they'll be really tough competition come this tournament.
Well, Christine, the Americans have a very favorable draw in this tournament. They get to play all of their games in Manila. Their challenging opponent in their group is Greece, who is very likely going to be without Giannis Antetokounmpo. They have a great opportunity to get into good position into the quarterfinals if they play well. Whereas Canada is in the group of death. They have to open this tournament with France. Now, Victor Wembanyama is not playing, getting ready for his rookie season. That was a help to the Canadians, but they have no margin for error. They are playing a very difficult pod, but if they get through it, they're going to be in good position. From a player-by-player standpoint, you could argue that the Canadians and the U.S. team are kind of side by side, and the Canadians have never been able to reach their potential as a basketball playing nation before. we could be at the beginning of a great classic basketball rivalry. The rivalry we already do have is the French and the Americans. The French beat the Americans in 2019 in China to knock them out of medal contention. They beat them in the opening game of the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, and then the Americans came back and won in the final. And so you have a potential rematch there of the Olympic final. So both France and Canada loaded with NBA players, not only setting the stage for this summer, but the granddaddy next summer in Paris, where the French are going to have home court and the Canadians could have even a stronger team.
Team USA practices 4 straight days before the first exhibition game against Puerto Rico on Monday. Tim, thank you for joining us and enjoy your time in Vegas.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.